Oh, sorry.
Did you see Terry?
No. Okay.
I'm just charging my earbuds for just a minute. I want to make sure they don't die on me. But you guys ready to go now or in a minute?
Let's go.
Okay, hold on. Let me. I just want to let for some reason, my left pod isn't on. I just thought maybe it might be getting low on charge there. I can find out on my phone, see how much charge I have. Yeah, 38%. Let's see. Yeah, I'll just put them back on whenever you guys are ready. I didn't even think about that. I've been doing a lot of different versions and ways of Zooms, and for some reason, these speakers have blown on this computer. I have no idea how that happened. My wife dropped my computer recently. That probably did it. A hard tile. It put a ding in I noticed the one corner is now flat where it hit. Oh, darn it. But, yeah, it was.
All right, Tommy, take it away, buddy.
Okay. Hey, it's Tommy John, rubbing elbows with TJ. Brought to you by Herkimer Diamond Mines, owned and operated by the beautiful Renee Shavat. And we have as our guest today, Terry McBride. Now, if you're from New Jersey, the name Terry McBride would ring out because the McBride family were multi-millionaires in land deals and banks. They owned banks and land and all that. And Terry was a very good golfer, as were all of the family. And that's where I knew the name McBride. And when they said, oh, we got Terry McBride, I started thinking, he's been dead for like 5 years.
Oh my gosh.
It's a zombie show.
I need to know this side of the family. I need to meet these people.
It could be long lost cousins.
Well, it has to be.
Google it. Terry
will.
McBride, Ridgewood, New Jersey.
Wow. And you know, Tommy, there's also a very successful Terry McBride in Vancouver, Canada. He's a very successful artist, manager, mogul, and I get his emails and people looking for him from time to time. Very confusing.
So, well, thank you for coming on. You've got to fill me in on all this because I'm not really abreast with country music. I love to listen to it.
Sure.
And all, but writing songs, I can't even write my name. But I've got some friends in Nashville that do you ever run across a guy named Ilya Tushinsky?
Oh, absolutely. I know Ilya well. He's played on many songs and demos, and he owns the house on the corner of my street here where this little house, my studio is. Yeah.
Oh, neat. Yeah. Well, my wife and Ilya are friends from way back.
Wow.
She wrote a couple songs, and one I thought was really good. It was when her husband died, and she wrote this song called When I'm Gone. And it just was about the love of her life when I'm gone. And Ilya sang it and played. But we used to go to Nashville every year for a week, 10 days. I played in a golf tournament there called the Vinny.
Oh, you
Vince
bet.
Hill's tournament.
Sure, you bet.
And we would have a thing on Monday night after the round, and we'd go to Vince and Amy's house. And there might be one of the absolute most genuine, God-fearing angels in the world is Amy Grant. She is absolutely, yeah. And Vince quit the tournament because Amy had some heart problems.
Right.
And Vince says, no, I'm taking care of my wife. And that tells you what kind of guy Vince Gill is. Although now he's with the Eagles.
Yeah, yeah. Vince is doing all right. I'm not worried about.
Yeah, you know.
It's me I'm worried about for sure. No, Vince is a great guy. I met him early on in my career and early on in his career, and was a fan. Still am. Our drummer in McBride and the Ride, Billy Thomas, also plays a band called the Time Jumpers, which is a swing. Yeah,
they're
Vince,
down at the saloon, the restaurant.
Yeah, Third and Lindsley. Yeah, they
Third
play
and
there
Lindsley.
every Monday night. They pack the place, sold out. And Vince is going back on tour June and July, and Billy will be out on the road playing with him, which he's been doing ever since McBride and the Ride broke up back in the 90s. That's what Billy Thomas, our drummer, has been doing, singing on those records. Billy was singing on those Vince songs way back when we were still touring, Little Liza Jane and songs like that.
Yeah.
Billy has that great high tenor voice and perfect harmony fit with Vince. So they've been friends forever. But yeah, Vince is a real treasure here, in Nashville. He's very philanthropic. He's helped in so many causes and so many benefits. And Amy is the same way.
But tell me this: how did you get with Brooks and Dunn? I mean, there had to be an in some way. I'm thinking, because I don't know that part of the business. But if it's like any other business, you got to have a lead.
Yeah, I had a little connection with Brooks and Dunn early on. Kix Brooks, half of Brooks and Dunn, co-wrote a song for me called Sacred Ground that went on to be a #1 song in 1992. And so I actually met Kix at the #1 party, which is a great way to meet a guy if you're going to meet him. But it was a great event. So we hit it off right off the bat, of course, And then that year, we were also nominated for New Group of the Year. It was us, Diamond Rio, and Brooks and Dunn. And so through that, I went to the awards show out in Los Angeles, the Academy of Country Music Awards, and met Ronnie. Ronnie stepped off the elevator, and I went, "Wow, Ronnie Dunn." He went, "Wow, Terry McBride, I'm a fan." And that I was blown away, So then a couple of years later, the band broke up, and I was writing songs thinking I might have a solo career ahead of me. And instead, Brooks and Dunn cut one of the songs that I thought I was going to record, but it led to me getting to know Ronnie better, and then me going on the road with those guys for 13 years. That's kind of what I did for that period. Just whenever they were on tour, or whenever they were traveling, and even hunting trips, whatever. Yeah. They just included me on everything. And then we became close friends as well as also, writing partners.
So now when you say going on the road, you're traveling on buses?
Correct. Yeah.
So that gives you a chance to write while you're on something comes into your mind at 3 o'clock in the morning, and it's not alcohol, but it's
Well, you're exactly right, Tommy. All that energy that's sort of bottled up after those big shows, those guys were playing those enormous sheds, 15, 20,000 people. Then you're back on the bus and you have nothing to do other than to eat or, watch TV. So we used that time to write, and it was very beneficial. I knew Ronnie was going to come off stage with that energy. And if I had a good idea, it was a perfect opportunity to throw it out there, and that's really where we probably wrote 95% of our songs on the road, on the bus going down the road.
Well, of the songs, how did you write Cowgirls Don't Cry?
Well, and that's interesting. Not every song has a story, Tommy, but those that do, people like to hear them. I've found that I do a lot of solo performances around the country, and the comments that I get the most are people love these stories behind the songs. They just don't know how a song was created. So that one, we were at a big fair. It might have been Indiana. I think maybe it was. We got out and walked around. I think we were looking for a corn dog. While you're at the fair, you got to have a corn dog. So, and then we saw something that said that had pieces of that idea, Cowgirls and Don't Cry, and we started kicking that around, got back on the bus, And then we kind of formed it into the title, Cowgirls Don't Cry. We like that. And that's really how it started. But what really the catalyst for writing the song was the guys had been out on the road with Reba McEntire. And of course, they love Reba. We all do. And the story was about a strong woman, you know, someone that's overcome a divorce, possibly losing her father, but also, you know, just growing. And Reba is a strong woman in many ways. She grew up on the ranch and learned to ride the rank stock that all the boys took the good horses and left her with the rank. You know, she was a pretty tough gal. And those barrel racers are fearless, and that's what she was. She's pretty interesting and an amazing person. So we used her as our sort of our person in the song, and that really helped us build this tune around her. We had no idea she would ever be involved, but like you said, 4 o'clock in the morning, Ronnie sent it off to Reba, and she said, "Wow, I love this. I want to record this." And then Ronnie said, "No, I'm going to record it." And then I thought, this is a pretty good problem to have right here, you know. And so the guys cut it first, actually, Tommy, by themselves without Reba. But Reba was so adamant about being involved in that song. She came to them with an idea and said, what if I sing harmony? What if we took that last verse, modulated, and I took that last verse? So we went back in the studio with a whole different group of players. I played bass over at Reba's studio, Starstruck, and we recut that song with the new ending, with her involved with it, and tack that on to the original version. And that actually became the single. Although the radio had already released the song with just Brooks and Dunn, they pulled it, came with the Reba version, and then the rest was history after that.
Yeah, I love that. I love to listen to Reba sing. And
yeah.
She's just got that quality in her voice that is unique. But, you know, it's funny. I grew up in Terre Haute, Indiana. And, you know, I was a rock and roll guy, you know, American Bandstand, doing the dancing and all that.
Sure.
Then I got into playing baseball. And when I got traded to the White Sox, all of a sudden, all the rock and roll got pulled off the radio and country western. So from 1966 until present day, so that's what, 40, 50 years, 60 years?
Yes.
I've been listening to country western, and I just think, to me, it says something. It's got a theme and a story back of it, and it's so good. And the people that sing it can sing.
Yeah.
You know, they may not be able. You never wore a nudie suit, did you?
I have a couple of those sequin suits from back in the day. I do. I got caught up in that Dwight Yoakam era, you know, but I love Porter Wagner too, you know, but they weren't quite as outrageous as those suits, but yeah.
So what? You grew up in Texas.
I did in Central Texas, just outside of Austin. That's where I grew up.
Right?
Exactly, little ranching community.
Yep.
But just close enough to Austin where I could jump in my car even as a teenager and drive down the road 60 miles and see some of my favorite entertainers at the time, you know.
Perfect. Oh, that's great. But did you have any other hobbies when you were a kid growing up?
Yeah, I mean, like a lot of kids, I played sports. I love sports. Played, you know, Little League early on, and way better at playing guitar than I was at swinging a bat. But or pitching, unlike you, you know, there were some great players in our little town there. But I love sports. Run to play basketball, football, ran a little track. I loved it. But I was fortunate, Tommy, when I was in junior high, and then my freshman year in high school, I got into a band of older guys. And and older guys, I mean like seniors, juniors in high school. I was a freshman, you know. But they had this very popular band, really traditional country stuff, and a lot of music that was coming out of Austin, Willie Nelson, Jerry Jeff Walker, Ray Wiley Hubbard, Gary P. Nunn. This whole outlaw movement was happening in the 70s when I graduated high school in 77. It was on fire. So like I said, literally, I could drive down 60 miles an hour later. I could be in Austin and see Jerry Jeff Walker or Rusty Weir, anybody, Doug Somm, people that I loved, and there they were in person. It was a wonderful and amazing time in that Austin music scene, But I grew up around a bunch of cowboys. My grandfather and his brothers were cowboys. My grandfather raised cutting horses, and he would break horses. He was a tough old guy. And I did a lot of ranching. Several of my friends had some large ranches. We worked cattle and sheep in the summertime, pretended like we were cowboys. It was a lot of fun. But that's kind of what Lampasas is, a ranching community. It's sort of the gateway to the hill country there. It's really rugged, but rolling hills, very, very, has a great vibe there as it goes on into Austin,
So how old were you when you started to pick?
I was 9.
I don't mean
old.
your nose. I mean the guitar.
That I was my 9th birthday, Tommy. My father, who was a musician, he bought me and gave me a little acoustic guitar that he bought in Mexico. And the action on it was so high. My dad was a tall, big guy. I think for him, he could probably play it. But at 9, it was a struggle, to say the least. But that's when I began. And then when I was about 12, 13, my dad decided, listen, I need a bass player. If you think you want to grow up and play with me someday, you need to learn to play bass. So we went to a pawn shop and bought a little SG Gibson copy, a bass. I loved it. Instead of 6 strings, it had 4. I thought, this is way easier than I thought it was going to be. And I just kind of took to it. And I loved it. And then later out of high school, my father was having some success in the charts and had a tour bus and had a cool recording studio. And so I just jumped full on into that. I drove the bus. I played bass. I got to play some sessions in the studio. And it was a great experience, for a young guy in a small town. Those opportunities don't come along very often. But fortunately, my dad was a professional musician.
Well, okay. I did the same thing, only in baseball. And you did it in music. So we did what we were going to do down the road. And probably, I didn't know I was going to be successful, but I know that I like to play baseball. And my mom and dad were there for me to wipe my sniffles away. And
and you were good at it. That's
well, I got to be good. But when I started out, one of the things my dad told me, and when I give talks, especially to graduating classes, I try to end it with this. My dad says, just remember who you are and where you come from. He said, no matter how successful you'll be, Tom, you'll be Tommy John from Terre Haute, Indiana. And to this day, I'm 79 years old. I'm Tommy John from Terre Haute, Indiana, and I'm proud of it. And that's who I am. And you're Terry McBride from Lampasas, Texas.
Yeah, you're right, Tommy. That gave me kind of cold chills there. I'm just thinking about your dad, reminding you of who you are and where you come from. Yeah, my hometown, it means a lot to me. I'm very proud to be from that area. I have great memories, like you, probably growing up, a lot of friends. I had small town life, but we didn't want or need anything really. When you're young and you're in school and you've got friends and you're active, it was, no other place I'd rather be at the time,
So how did you get started doing the big time?
It was a long, slow process, Tommy. My starving musician phase went on way longer than I had anticipated. So it was a series of just sticking with it, really. People ask me, how do you make it in this business? Well, you've got to be persistent. You just have to continue, and you have to want it. I didn't really have a backup plan. I wanted to be a musician, singer, songwriter. And I was a good bass player, so that's how I kind of made my living early on. That's how I stayed busy. I really didn't make much of a living early on, but I could sing and play. That was a plus, a singing bass player. You might get a job over a guy who's just a bass player, And then I started playing with some other touring acts. Delbert McClinton, who is a legendary R&B singer from Texas. I got in his band. Got to tour all over the country, played some wonderful shows, toured with Huey Lewis and John Fogerty, and all of a sudden the level of touring definitely took it up a step or two with Delbert. And even as much as I loved that job, I realized I wanted to make music, my own music. I didn't want to just play in somebody else's band. I didn't want to just play somebody else's music. So I started writing. I'd been writing all this time, but I started making trips to Nashville. And in the beginning, my songs weren't great and the meetings weren't great. Nothing was really happening. And then I met a songwriting couple in Austin, Texas. They took me in and they were having success with a guy named Stevie Ray Vaughan, an amazing blues guitar player from Texas, and the Fabulous Thunderbirds, who Jimmy Vaughan, Stevie's brother, was in that band. But they were getting songs recorded by professional, respected artists. And then Bill Carter and his wife, Ruth, Bill was putting a band together. I auditioned, got the job, and then we went out and toured with Stevie Ray Vaughan all the way up to New York City and back to Austin. And after that, I played them some of my little homespun country songs I was writing, and they really liked them. And they said, man, let's start writing together regularly. Let's start writing country songs for you. They took me in the studio, started recording things. Then they sent them up to Nashville, and a guy named Jody Williams, who was working at BMI, he said, we want a George Strait cut. We're from Texas. And Jody said, man, whoever's singing these songs needs a record deal. We thought, well, that's great. Get us a record deal. And so he single-handedly got us appointments with just every major label. We planned a trip, went to Nashville, a lot of doors opened. And I met the head of MCA Records, Tony Brown, who produced all those Vince Gill records. He ended up signing me to the label, and then the rest is kind of history for me. He opened so many doors for me by giving me that opportunity that I just I didn't want to disappoint him, and also wanted to take advantage of all the opportunities that were being offered to me at the time.
So what's on your plate now?
Well, I'm back touring with my old band, McBride and the Ride, from the 90s. And that's been a blast. We just wrapped up a weekend of dates, and we've got a lot of dates coming up throughout the rest of the year. We're in the studio recording new music for the first time in over 20 years. So that's been fun. The guys still play and sing great. Billy obviously is with Vince Gill. Ray Herndon, the guitar player, singer, my other partner in the band, he's been with Lyle Lovett since 1983. So he plays on all those albums, tours with Lyle when we're not touring. And so they're very accomplished, great musicians, the kind of guys you want in a band with you,
Sure. Yep.
And then we bring our steel guitar player in. Gary Morris is his name. He's plays with Brooks and Dunn, but he also toured with us way back in the 90s. We love having him. And we have a couple guys we can swap in and out if he happens to be on tour or out on the road. And then aside from that, Tommy, I'm doing a 90-minute solo singer-songwriter type of performances across the country. I leave in a couple of weeks. Actually, I leave this weekend to go to Lubbock, Texas, playing with an old friend of mine, Leroy Parnell. And Gary Nipperson.
Is happiness Lubbock in my rearview mirror?
It certainly was for Mac Davis. I can tell you that. I lived there. I lived in Lubbock 2 different occasions. I moved out to Lubbock. As isolated as it is, Tommy, it actually always had a music scene out there. Of course, Buddy Holly's from there, Mac Davis, Delbert McClinton, Waylon Jennings. There's a rich history.
Mackerel.
I know it from that, dusty cotton fields of West Texas. Something was happening out there, and it drew me out there a couple different times. A guy that I love from Texas, Joe Ely, is from there. Jimmy Dale Gilmore, these great songwriters and artists are from out in that area. So I continued to go back and forth to Lubbock over the years just because of that music scene that happened to be there.
I got a friend of mine that used to be in Lubbock.
Oh, who's that?
His name is Bob Knight.
Oh,
I think I'm familiar with that name. Sounds so familiar, Tommy. Oh, another in Indiana. I get the connection, of course.
Okay. There you are. Yeah. You know, I was playing in a golf tournament and I get a call. I'm playing. My dad is one of my partners and we've got a 1 o'clock tee time. And I get a call like 5:30 in the morning, 5:45. Tommy, can you play this morning? We need you. I said, yeah, what? Somebody pulled out of Coach Knight's group and we wanted to get you in there because we knew you would have, you wouldn't harass Coach Knight. I said, yeah, okay. So I hung up the phone and my dad is my roommate and he says, who died? I said, Pop, not every phone call is who died. He said, it generally is if you're old like me. And I said, okay. I said, I got to play with Coach Knight. No, you are. Oh my God. He said, I got to go get breakfast up there and then I'll meet you out on the course. Okay.
Cool.
So we go out, Bob and I are talking. I said, now my dad's going to come up here. Probably about the third or fourth hole that we're playing, but he had to get breakfast first. And I said, all I can tell you is he won't embarrass you, but he is a Bob Knight fan. And Bob says, I appreciate that. Thank you. So my dad comes up on his golf cart, and this is typical Bob Knight. Tommy, get the hell out of here. Mr. John, get your ass over in this golf cart. And my dad goes, okay, coach, okay. They sat there for the next 14 holes. They're doing this.
Oh, my gosh.
When they get done, they shake hands, they hug. And he said, you better come down and see me. That's all I'm saying. And that's what, as much as Bob Knight gets raked over the coals,
right,
there is a goodness in his heart. And he made my dad feel so special that day.
That is above and beyond the Call of Duty and says so much about him. What a great, a great moment.
It is. And, but anyway, are you got any plans of coming down in Florida way?
Let's see. Actually, Tommy, I'm playing a 90s country festival in February 2023 in Key West, actually. It's with all kinds of great artists from the 90s. I think on my day, we kick off the Saturday. I think that's February the 4th. And it's us, Asleep at the Wheel, Clay Walker, I think maybe Tracy Bird is on our show. I can't remember, but it's all kinds of artists from that era. But that's my next trip to Florida. I mean, we vacation the Panhandle every year, but I love going to Florida.
We will, my wife Cheryl and I will be down to see you. We've got friends that live in Key West.
Oh, I'd love that.
We introduced him to a guy named, what was his name? Oh, yeah, Steve Cropper.
Oh yeah. Oh, that guy. Yeah, just a guy that dabbles in guitar and songwriting himself there. Oh, he's amazing, man. I've had the privilege to meet him a few times over the years, and yeah, what an incredible story he has.
Oh man, he is. But we met him through his wife Angel, and we were playing golf out in Palm Springs.
Nashville.
Oh, in Nashville.
Darius Ruckers.
Oh,
Darius Ruckers tournament.
Oh yes, you bet.
And Hoot, I never got to meet Hootie, but Darius Rucker was there.
Yeah.
But Angel Cropper is one of the sweetest ladies, and she said, "Oh, you've got to meet my Steve." And he was good. He was just a great guy. And so we'll come down and see you. God,
I'd love to meet you. You let me know if there's anything I can do. If Steve can't get you in, I will.
I can talk my way in.
I bet you can.
If
Oh,
not,
that's
I
great.
got $1 or $2 that we can
Yeah,
get in. But
there you go. Well, it'd be my honor, it'd be my pleasure. You let me know.
we also, Cheryl and I have some friends in the business, the producers.
Oh, Mike Borchetta and Scott.
Mark Borchetta,
You
Mike.
bet.
Mike Borchetta.
Mike, you bet.
Yeah.
And Scott. Well, I've known Scott was my promotion man at MCA. He was a regional promotion guy at the time. And
Okay.
we were good friends way back then. And of course, I still see him from time to time. But yeah, he has gone on to do some amazing stuff.
Yeah. I think with somebody named Swift.
Yeah. Yeah, he had a little bit of success there. Just a tiny bit. But oh my gosh. Yeah. Scott is one of the hardest working men in Nashville. He's just, he always was, back when I was working with him, he was so dedicated to his craft of getting those songs played on radio. He was pretty masterful at it, and it took those skills and that knowledge, and also from his dad, his whole family. They're all involved in the business one way or another. But I believe one of his sisters works for him with the label he started now. So yeah, he's a great guy.
And Mike has horses.
And then they also got into the horse business
Oh,
up in Ocala, Florida. I knew the father when I was playing with the Yankees. Dad was up there in New York, and that's where I got into the family. But they're into raising racehorses.
yeah, interesting. I didn't know that side of the family, but that's interesting. Scott's always been involved in automobile racing.
Yes, they are.
He's driven and sponsored several cars from NASCAR to Indy, and we used to race these legend cars, little 3/4 size cars on a 1/4 mile track back in the day. And Scott was way into it. He was fearless. He did well.
Well, I tell you, it has been a pleasure. Can I send you, I'm going to ask you this as I get down. Can I send you my wife's song? And,
Sure.
You look at it and see if you can do anything. We will, you can rewrite it or retune it or whatever, but I like it myself.
I'll be glad to listen, and whatever
Perfect.
I can do.
That's great.
You bet. I'll be glad to.
And if not, just tell her, say, Cheryl, stay home, cook, have a big glass of wine or two every night. Forget about the songwriting.
Cheryl, I would never tell you that, even though people told me that early on. So,
but that's why you're successful. People told you that, but you didn't listen to them.
You're right, Tommy. It was tough in the beginning. When you come to town, when I knock on these doors, publishers especially, even the whoever was at the front door, the assistant, the secretary, whatever it was, even they were intimidating. It was like, oh my God. And they kept telling me, we don't take any unsolicited material. I had to go back and find out what the heck that even meant. I didn't even know. I was like, what does that mean? But they were all telling me that. And of course, they'd ask you, what have you done? I haven't done anything. And it's a tough spot to be in. You have this burning desire and a little bit of talent. You have some talent, but it doesn't guarantee a dang thing,
Well, you see, that's what you said right there. How can somebody become good if they're not allowed to fail early? That's how you become good, is you have some failure, some missteps, and you clean it up, and you go to your next one, and you go to your next one, and all of a sudden somebody says, geez, I like that.
Yeah.
I like.
And that means so much in the beginning, and you never forget those kind of people. Like I spoke about Jody Williams early on, then Tony Brown, who I didn't know, but I had admired him. He had been producing a lot of records I like. Steve Earle's first record, that Lyle Lovett album, all those Steve Wariner records. Who
was Lyle Lovett married to?
Julia Roberts.
Julia Roberts.
Yes. Now Yeah, he's since remarried, but yeah, they were a couple. for a while.
Okay, that's all. But anyway, I want to thank you very much, and I hope our paths will cross in Key West, Florida
Oh,
in February of 2023.
I'd love to see you and Cheryl. I hope that happens. It would be great to meet you. It's been an honor. Listen, you and your career, I had to Google and figure out, and once I got into your Wikipedia, my gosh, it was so interesting what you've accomplished and the years you spent. I mean, making it to the majors, people are like, what's it like in this business? Well, it's like being in the majors, you know.
Yes, exactly.
There are a lot of minor leagues, there are a lot of wannabes, but then when you do get into this level, you better bring it, you know, and you certainly did for a lot of years. So this has been a thrill for me. Thanks so much for having me. I appreciate all your team for reaching out and putting it together, and all the best.
Thank you much.
Too.
Anytime you got, well, you don't have my phone number, but if you get it, you call me anytime.
I'll get it to
so
them.
much. Thank you, Tommy.
Okay. Thank you.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Cheryl.
Thanks, Terry.
Bye.
You bet, Mac. Thank you, guys. I really enjoyed it.
You're the best.
Oh,
You are
thank
the best,
Cheryl.
man.
Oh, you guys, that was painless, just the way I like it. Really good, Tommy. Good questions. That was very interesting. So thank you so much, guys.
Talk to you
Mac,
soon, man.
Stay in touch, Mac. Always great hearing from you. Thanks for putting this together.
I love it, man. Good luck with the
All
new
right.
songs, buddy.
Thank you so much. All the best to you guys.
All right. Bye-bye.
See you.
Bye-bye. We gone.
Good one.
Good one. Mac,
Yeah, that was great.
I'll call you.
All right.
Nice.
Recording stopped.
Okay.
Not coming down on
No.
your toes.
Let me get that pulley uppy.
I just need my